Hello, young true disciples. I know this is late in the week, but I'm still giving you that Sunday recap, a word that we can feast off, a piece of bread. Coming from Daniel, we had evangelistic service, and she comes from Daniel chapter 6, and everyone knows about the events that took place in Daniel's life. Just specifically, Daniel in the lion's den. I'm gonna read the scriptures really quick and then get to my point. Now, when Daniel knew that the document was signed, he went into his house. Now, in his roof chambers, his windows were open towards Jerusalem. He continued to get down on his knees 3 times a day, praying and giving thanks before his God, and as he had been doing previously. Then, by agreement, these men came together and found Daniel praying and making requests before his God. So, uppercase G. Then they approached and spoke before the king regarding his injunction. Have you not signed an injunction that anyone who petitions, pray to any god or man except you, O king, within the designated 30 days, is it to be thrown into the dens of lions? The king answered, this statement is true, in accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which may not be altered or revoked. Then they answered and said before the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, does not pay any attention to you, O king, or to the injunction which you have signed, but keeps praying to his God 3 times a day. Then as soon as the king heard these words, he was deeply distressed over what he had done, and set his mind on rescuing Daniel, and he struggled until the sun went down, trying to work out a way to save him. Then by agreement, these same men came to the king and said, know, O king, that it is a law of the Medes and Persians that no injunction or statute which the king establishes may be altered or revoked. Then the king gave command, and Daniel was brought and thrown into the den of lions. The king said to Daniel, may your God, uppercase G, whom you constantly serve, rescue you himself. A stone was brought and laid over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signet rings of his nobles, so that nothing would be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king returned to his place and spent the night fasting, and no music or entertainment was brought before him, and he remained unable to sleep. Then the king arose at dawn and the break of day and hurried to the den of lions. When he had come near the den, he called out to Daniel with a troubled voice. The king said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you constantly serve, been able to rescue from the lions? Then Daniel spoke to the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel and shut the mouth of the lions so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him and also before you. O king, I have committed no crime. The topic for Sunday was do not compromise. And we're living in a time today, in these last and evil days. You say time is winding up, and we don't know when God is going to come back, because no one knows. But this is not the time to compromise. Us as followers of Christ, disciples of Christ, because Christians is a byword now. Everyone's a Christian, and they still think they can live however they want to live. But we must take Daniel as an example from the beginning of the chapter, where they did not eat the king's meat. They proved their God right. They proved their God faithful, which God is, and they had faith in that. And now Daniel, in his older age, fast forward, and he still had faith, and he puts his life and he puts his money, he bets on God every time. And we can't compromise as young true disciples, specifically young people, and I'm not going to say older people don't have challenges either, but us as younger people, we have to not compromise in how we live our lives. No, I don't drink. No, I don't smoke. No, I don't go to parties and do things of that such. No, I don't have sex before marriage. All of those things, I don't indulge in things like that, and there's many more other things. I don't compromise my life or my love for God. I made this, kind of like, we talk about Israel, the Israelites and God making this contract, or we call it a covenant. And God makes a covenant with us, and we have to make a covenant with God that we're going to stay true to his statutes. And no, we're not perfect, but we're striving to perfection. We're not compromising. And another point I want to make about this compromise, not just compromising when people are looking, but we have to be mindful not to compromise when people are not looking. Because I thought about this, and I'm like, I make vows to God, or I make promises, but then I compromise it. I say I'm going to get up in the morning and have a little bit of an extra devotion time, but then I allow sleep. So right there, that's a compromise. So it's not always about sins compromising, but it's about promises or vows that you make to God, and then you don't keep them. Compromising that, I'm gonna read my word, but you allow other things to distract you. I'm gonna pray, but you allow other things to distract you. That's a compromise with your relationship with God. So I pray, I encourage myself as well. God convicts us into righteousness. Compromising is not just about you choosing not to sin, or you do choose to sin, but it's also with our personal relationship with God, and allowing other things, other factors to get in the wedge, get in between us and God. So I hope that was an encouragement. Don't let our flesh cause us to compromise, and that's with anything, whether it's around people or whether it's in our personal lives, even with our family. It don't have to be necessarily people we work with, our friends or associates, our colleagues, but even with family. So we cannot compromise, because God is faithful and He's going to prove Himself every time. We have to prove ourselves, and God will give us the grace. He will give us the strength. And let's continue to be those true disciples like a Daniel. Be blessed.